Yo, what's going on guys? Welcome to my H1Z1 tips and tricks video for PlayStation 4 players, or even just new players on PC. In this video, we're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to go over spawning, looting, we're going to talk about shooting, which guns are best, and all that kind of stuff. So let's just get straight into it. As always guys, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of the amazing support that you guys have been showing on this channel lately. I want to be your #1 source for H1Z1 news, videos, and gameplay. So please consider hitting that like and subscribe button, and turn on post notifications just to make sure that you guys never miss any videos and streams. And I will continue to upload the best content that I can possibly give you guys. I just want to quickly say before I get into this video, I'm making this video on the 3rd of May. The PlayStation 4 game has not come out yet, so if you guys are watching this in a couple of weeks, I can't give you guys specific details about different aspects of the game, but it's just general kind of tips and tricks, so things may be slightly different in the PS4 version. This is more my kind of experience from having 2,000 hours of H1Z1 on PC, and all of the tips and tricks that I've learned to get easier kills, and like lots of little things that you might know. So if I'm not being very specific about PS4 style things, that is the reason why. Let's talk about spawning. So whenever you spawn into the pre-game lobby, normally on PC games start with 150 players. It may be different on PlayStation 4, but you're allowed to choose your spawn, so you'll see your map. And you're able to choose which square you're able to spawn in. Whenever you're spawning in, obviously you can see if there's a red zone, kind of like an orange zone and a yellow zone. Obviously the red zone means that it's a high population area, and then orange is, you know, slightly high pop, and light yellow is a place that a few people are going to. Obviously if it's a clear zone, it means that it's fairly safe. There may be 1 or 2 players there. Whenever you're spawning in, you want to basically just pull straight down. You want to get your parachute up as soon as possible and make sure that you're hitting the ground as soon as possible. It is really vital in H1Z1 to get the first gun and make sure that you're giving yourself the best opportunity to get kills. You're going to try to prioritize a few things whenever you're actually coming into the map. Always pick up the first gun you see, even if it's a pistol. It may save your life because sometimes people do spawn in the same house, and having that pistol will save your life a lot of the time. Otherwise, pick up an AR-15, AK. If you know that somebody is very close, pick up a shotgun or an SMG as soon as you find it. A shotgun can do a lot of damage very quickly, and it's probably the most powerful gun in H1Z1. You absolutely must get a helmet in H1Z1, otherwise it's a one-shot kill to the head. And if you can find an armor on the ground pretty early on, that's going to save you from a lot of shotgun fights early on, so I 100% recommend getting an armor if you possibly can, but helmet is definitely the most important piece of armor in H1Z1. Apart from that, get some shoes so you can run faster, and get a backpack so you can carry extra weapons. One little tip to keep in mind is whenever you're spawning in, not all houses in residential areas are accessible. So if you notice that there's dead grass behind a house, so for example if the grass is not green beside the house that you're landing at, it means that house is boarded up, and it means that there's no loot available inside that house. You will occasionally get a small amount of items at the back or front of the house. So let's talk a little bit about backpacks and military backpacks in PS4 version of H1Z1. So as you can see by this image on screen now, a regular backpack will unlock 1 weapon slot, and a military backpack will unlock a further weapon slot. So whenever you load into the game, you've only got 2 weapon slots. I would prioritize a shotgun and an AK-47 or AR-15. Once again, I will talk about all of the guns in depth, give you guys a better idea of which guns are best in the game, but try to definitely prioritize an assault rifle and something that can be used up close, and try to prioritize getting that backpack so you can possibly carry grenades, a second assault rifle, a magnum for destroying cars, or something like that a little bit further down the line. There is no crafting in H1Z1 on PlayStation 4, so you'll be able to find armor on the ground. On the PC game, whenever you shoot somebody's helmet, it comes straight off. On the PlayStation 4 game, there's going to be different tiers of helmets which will absorb some amount of damage. For example, a level 1 armor could absorb 10% damage, and the laminated tactical body armor could absorb like 20% damage. So obviously getting the best possible armor and helmets is going to be key to survival in H1Z1. I think one of the biggest tips that I can give you guys when spawning in is try to spawn for cars as much as possible. Having a car in H1Z1 is definitely one of the most important things for survival. It allows you to travel to the safe zone a lot quicker, and also you can use your car for cover and make sure that you're not getting shot out in the open while running. Let's talk a little bit about the best places to spawn in H1Z1. I'm going to assume that a lot of you guys play Fortnite on PlayStation 4, and I'm going to talk about and compare the areas in H1Z1 to Fortnite a little bit. Pleasant Valley is in the center of the map, so we're going to say that Pleasant Valley is kind of the Tilted Towers kind of area in H1Z1. You land there, there's normally a lot of people spawning in there, it's right in the center of the map, and it's pretty easily accessible to all our locations in the map as well. If you spawn in Pleasant Valley when there's a good safe zone, the chances are that's going to give you the most opportunities to get the most amount of kills. The only drawback to landing in Pleasant Valley is you'll probably get a worse performance on your console, so if you don't have a PS4 Pro, row, I would probably try to stay away from cities and try and fight more out in the open. The most hotspots in Pleasant Valley would be the likes of the warehouses and also the police department. Those tend to be places where cars spawn, and they tend to be places where a lot of people spawn in, and there's a lot of surrounding areas where people can get loot. So I would say try to prioritize those two areas if you're trying to get kills in Pleasant Valley. The other cities in H1Z1 is Ranchito, which I'm going to call, let's say, Retail Row, and Cranberry, which I'm going to call, let's say, Pleasant Park. Cranberry is a little bit smaller. Again, if there's a good safe zone, a lot of people do spawn in Cranberry, and there is quite a lot of cop car spawns around the tents, around the middle of the roads. Ranchito is also a really good place to go because it's got warehouses, it's got a police department, which a lot of people spawn there. I think there's potentially 2 or 3 car spawns at the police department. So if you're trying to get a car and get away, or even if you're trying to get some early game kills, Ranchito could be the place for you to go. The other city in H1Z1 is called Harris Bluffs. It's the smallest city in H1Z1, but it can be pretty popping if it is a red zone. Ultimately, you'll get the most kills in red zone areas, but those cities do tend to have the best flow and the best opportunities to maximize your kill count. Other little places that you can go, which I recommend, which are good for getting a lot of kills very quickly, is the airstrip in H1Z1. There tends to be a lot of people spawning there. It's a really simple area. There's 4 warehouses and a tower, and you can basically just get a lot of kills from people who don't get a gun before you. If you're lucky enough to get that shotgun before anybody else, you can clean your warehouse out and then hopefully get a few more kills and leave with a police car, jeep, truck, or ATV. The military base is a pretty good place to go as well. Likewise, it's got a cop car spawn, jeep spawn, truck spawn, and ATV spawn. Down by the tents area of the military base tends to be a very good place to get kills, so I recommend going there if you guys do want to maximize your chances to get high frag games. If you guys are trying to get loot, a couple of places that I kind of recommend that you would go is Misty Peak Reservoir, which is really far in the northeast corner of the map. Again, there's car spawns, and it's quite a peaceful place to loot. So if you're just trying to get loot and trying to get yourself prepared for the end of the game, going to Misty Peak can be a pretty good spot. And also going to the hospital is a fairly decent spot as well. It's got 3 floors, 3 or 4 floors, and there does tend to be a lot of loot spawning in the hospital. Generally in H1Z1, it doesn't really matter where you spawn. It's quite easy to get a lot of loot almost anywhere you go, and I think in the console version they're increasing the amount of loot you can get to make a high-paced, fast-paced experience. So it really doesn't matter where you're going to go, you will get enough loot to make sure that you survive pretty easily. But if you guys do want to maximize loot, definitely go to one of the outer corners of the map if you guys do want to survive. Now let's talk about the shooting in H1Z1. The shooting's a bit different to Fortnite. In Fortnite, it's hit scan, which is like Call of Duty. So if you guys are familiar with Battlefield, it's kind of a similar shooting system. It's projectiles, not hit scan, meaning that you have to sometimes shoot in front of people. So for example, if somebody's running, you will have to shoot ahead of them for your bullets to hit them. The only time that you would aim straight on somebody is if they're pretty close by and if they're not too far away. If people are far away, in the PC version of H1Z1 you do have to shoot above their head, and it is quite severe. On the PlayStation 4 version of H1Z1 there's going to be a lot less bullet drops, so you can point and click a lot more, but do keep in mind that if your shots are missing, you do need to aim a little bit above their head for you to hit some shots at further distances. So a couple of really good tips for getting more kills in H1Z1. H1Z1 has a really dominant headshot mechanic. So hitting your headshots in H1Z1 is extremely important. People go for 2-taps all the time, so being the first person to hit a 2-tap is definitely going to win you a lot more gunfights. A few tips for hitting 2-taps is pre-firing your opponents. So for example, if you're fighting somebody who's behind a tree, shoot the side of the tree that you think they're going to come out at. Like, take a mental note of where you think their head is and just pre-fire the tree. And if you can hit somebody's helmet before they can shoot you, you've got a good chance of 2-tapping them and winning that fight. Whenever they're behind a police car, you can kind of memorize where their head's going to be behind the police car. People tend to aim above the car, so it's pretty easy to predict where their head's going to be on a police car. A lot of people hide behind the back tire of a police car and stand up and shoot while taking cover. So if you can aim above the back tire of the car, if you think somebody's there, that's definitely a good way to pre-fire and get a headshot. Now, if you damage somebody, let's say you take their helmet off and hit a few body shots, and somebody is not peeking you and you really want to kill them very fast, you have 2 options. You can chase them down with a shotgun, or you can basically wait them out. Or the third option possibly could be shoot their feet. This is a really good tip. Try to shoot people's feet as much as possible, even if you can barely see it. Aim at the very bottom of the tire and try to shoot their legs and shoot their feet. If you do look for it, you will notice it, and it is a very, very effective way of getting kills, especially when people aren't expecting to get shot behind cover. You'll notice in residential areas there's a lot of fences around. There's actually a bar on the fence which can be used as an indicator of where somebody's going to be whenever they step around the corner. If you aim at the bar on the fence and start shooting it before somebody appears on your screen, that's exactly the right height to hit a headshot in H1Z1. So as long as you shoot at that height, you're almost guaranteed to hit a headshot, and if you hit that first shot, the chances are you're going to hit the second one. Another couple of tips for shooting in H1Z1, never stand still. Like I said, people do go for headshots, and if you stand still, you're going to get absolutely destroyed. You can drop shot and crouch spam in H1Z1 a little bit, so if you're shooting somebody, try to crouch every second or two, and keep strafing, keep moving. You can even drop shot them if you really feel like it's going to work, maybe with an MP7 or an AK. You can drop shot and spray somebody up close. Those probably would be the best ways to outplay people. If you're finding it a little bit difficult to win that fight, they may come in pretty clutch for you guys. Apart from that, practice makes perfect, guys. You gotta practice your shooting, and I recommend watching a lot of streams and videos, and you guys will kind of get an idea of what you should do. In the PC version of H1Z1, there's a combat zone, which I'm hoping comes to PlayStation, where you guys can respawn as much as you possibly want to and practice your shots over and over again. So if there is a combat zone in PlayStation, I 100% recommend playing that for anywhere between half an hour to an hour a day, depending on how good you want to get at H1Z1, to really get a good idea of what you guys need to do and how you guys can effectively kill people. Definitely spending as much time as possible in combat zone will be a big help to you. The guns that you can currently find in H1Z1 on the ground are the AR-15, the AK-47, the M9 and Magnum pistols, the MP7 SMG, the shotgun, and everything else will be found in the crate. In the PS4 trailer there was a light machine gun, and there is currently a hunting rifle in H1Z1 as well. On the PlayStation version of H1 there's going to be red dot sights and stuff like that, and I think they're probably going to change the recoil, bullet drop, bullet speed to make it feel a lot more point and clicky, so this may be slightly different. But in the PC game, the AK-47 is the more dominant assault rifle. The recoil resets a lot faster. So the thing about H1Z1 on PC is it's a tapping game. In PUBG, Fortnite, Call of Duty, it's basically all about spraying. In H1Z1, it's all about single fire tapping. The AK-47 has a faster recoil reset, meaning that you can hit 2 shots accurately faster than you can with the AR-15. The AK has got vertical recoil, and the AR-15 has got horizontal recoil. The horizontal recoil in the AR can be very useful for shooting cars because you automatically hit shots with the horizontal recoil. If your opponent is running to the side, using the AR can be quite useful for hitting moving targets. Otherwise, for pinpoint precision, I think the AK-47 is the best assault rifle in H1Z1 currently. The M9 has got very low recoil and very low damage. It takes 3 shots to kill somebody if they've got a helmet by using headshots only, and maybe 7 or 8 shots to the body depending on what kind of armor they've got. The MP7 is pretty similar to that kind of damage as well, except for it's got a bigger clip and a faster fire rate. And the shotgun can be used to kill somebody anywhere in the body, as long as they're not wearing armor. It's impossible to kill somebody with 1 pump if they're wearing an armor, but once again the values may be different on PlayStation 4. But I would say the best up close weapon is definitely the shotgun, the best assault rifle is definitely the AK-47, and a very useful tip in H1Z1 is to use the Magnum. Now the thing with the Magnum is it's got really slow recoil, it's not very effective in combat, but it actually does 8 damage to cars. So if somebody's got a car and they're just hiding behind their car, you can effectively blow up their car in 12 or 13 bullets. Normally people's cars are pretty damaged. The Magnum does 8 damage per bullet, which is huge, it's 8% per bullet. So if somebody's car is getting a little bit low, if you've hit them a few times, spam the Magnum at their car and it's going to blow it up. One of the biggest problems forever on H1Z1 and PC is Car1Z1 we call it, where everybody's got a car at the end of the game, and if you don't have a car you're basically screwed. If you can carry a Magnum with you, it's definitely going to help you kill people who are just driving about in cars and basically playing H1Z1 like it's Forza Motorsport. Bringing a Magnum will really put an end to that, and I think it's a really easy way to get kills. The hunting rifle is also projectile. It has a similar bullet drop to the AR-15 and AK-47. I think it's going to have more bullet drop than those guns on the PlayStation. You want to just aim straight on somebody's head if they're fairly close, and just move it up a little bit, and just move it up a little bit if they're a bit further away. If somebody's running, aim in front of them and compensate for bullet drop. The hunting rifle can be the most effective gun in the game if used correctly, and it is super satisfying to get kills with it. Always aim for the head. You can kill them with 2 body shots as long as they're not wearing a laminated body armor or a makeshift armor. And overall, for me, and for most people, sniping is really, really fun. Guys, I don't want to make this a really, really long half-an-hour video, so I'm going to cut it there, guys. In the next video, I'm going to talk about more tips for getting kills in H1Z1. I'm going to talk about the differences between each of the cars in H1Z1. We're going to talk about safe zones, we're going to talk about how you guys can win your first ever game, and lots of different tips with positioning, pinching, and lots more strategies in H1Z1 that you guys will find really useful. So if we can go for, let's say, 500 likes in this video, I will get to work on that video straight away. But if you made it to the end, be sure to leave me a comment down below and let me know which tips you think are going to be the most helpful for you. And as always, I appreciate you guys watching the video. I hope you did enjoy the video, and I hope that you learned something new, and I hope that you enjoy H1Z1 as much as I do. Once again, if you guys do want to see more H1Z1 gameplay, tips, reviews, and all that kind of stuff, everything associated with H1Z1, I live stream right here on YouTube every single day for somewhere between 6 and 8 hours, even longer, on H1Z1 and all our Battle Royale games. And I will be making more videos like this in the future, so please consider subscribing, turn on that notification bell, just to make sure that you guys do get all the videos to your sub box. And that's all for me, guys. Thank you very much for watching. This has been KingPlayz. Good luck and peace out.
Drop it. It's okay to say that we expect. It's Hoodie Allen. What up, Marina? You know how we do. They telling me to take the safe route. This is the detour. Hoodie, baby, you